Alright, folks, welcome back to the Boys Green YouTube channel. It's time to look ahead to the weekend's game against Ross County. Celtic look to move on from the disappointment of midweek. I'm joined by Alistair. How you doing, Alistair?
Good, thanks, mate. Considering.
Hi. I know. Right, I mean, we may as well. We done the post match reaction. Obviously, it was quite like raw after the game. So
Yeah, it was.
we're a few days later, and we're recording this on the Friday. And the game was the game on the Wednesday, Tuesday. The game was on.
Tuesday,
Um, so we're a few days past. What's your overall feelings now?
uh,
Really,
I've just about come out from underneath the cupboard. I've came to the conclusion that well, I'll no forget it, but I will get over it. But I just, I just need to, I just need to. I've been struggling to get my head around it. Um, just to be fair. And I will say this: we need we need to we need to move on, mate. We really do. We can't let it destroy the season, mate.
I think so. I think that's a good point. Obviously it was we're all really annoyed on Tuesday night when we done the post match reaction just because of the nature of the result. The scoreline obviously 7-1. But you make a good point in about not letting it destroy our season. I think, and we'll go to Ross County in a minute. I think it's really important that we are switched on against Ross County and just getting that win. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers' approach was one of the main criticisms, shall I say, of the support and how we get into these games because obviously he's been on a fair few of those massive beatings in Europe. I think he's the only manager in Champions League history, and I'm not trying to be damp here, but to be on, I think 7 nils or 7-1s, something along those lines. But obviously, his
See,
approach was brought into it really into spotlight. Alistair, what's your opinion on his approach, like and how he approaches these away European games? Because obviously something isn't working.
see, to be honest, while I understand his point of view, there need to be a happy marriage in the respect that you don't want to park the bus, but you don't want to be cut to shreds the way we were either. So he needs to realise, and I know we've we've no good defensive players, let's be honest about it. But what we should have is a pride. See what and this is where I think the players have got off a bit light, tell you the truth. They should be their own personal pride to no be in the team that gets absolutely humiliated like that. And that was the first thing I felt. And I think I said as much on the match reaction after the game. It felt humiliating because no should we just we couldn't accept losing 7-1, 6-0, 7-1 and 5-0. We really shouldn't.
But I think we all thought that was those results were, especially your 7 results, were behind us. But obviously we were back, we were brought crashing down to earth. Let's be honest about it. But even if you're talking about being, I've heard the phrase being we're brought back down to earth. I don't. Still should not. The main issue for me wasn't losing the game. It's the margin, in my opinion. And I was listening to I've been rarely listening to Talksport, but I listened during the week, and Simon Jordan says that football teams can win. I know it's Simon Jordan, but he does make some good points sometimes. But he was talking about how teams, look at Man United, they can lose 9-0, but see if it wasn't a regular occurrence with Celtic, then I would kind of maybe not understand it as such, but I would, where, right, okay, maybe it's just an awful performance and stuff didn't go away, but this was every season. But I think with Rodgers' approach, he's gonna have to get something that that that's a medium pretty much because we can't have those hammerings constantly, and also when we go away, we can't just I understand what Rodgers saying, you can't just, flick a switch. We may as well, play what Rodgers said in the press conference today. He was asked about his approach to the game, so I'll go to the clip here, so we may as well maybe listen and we'll discuss it after it's finished.
Yeah, I don't feel anything. I'm not really bothered. That's my honest answer. You can't turn a tap on and off. I think that people think when they see the 7 goals. I think if you analyse the game, you'll see that we were trying to press the game in the static position and then fall back into a shape, but that wasn't to the level that we wanted on the evening. But we play how we play. It's the same plaudits that are commending our performances over the last numbers of months that allows us to get into this game with this incredible optimism that we can get a result out there. Can't just turn the tap back off and say, right, you become super defensive. It's not how we play. And so what do? Sit back, have 15% of the ball, and probably lose 3-0, 4-0. We've seen it over 6 months, teams that will come to us and sit back and play 5 at the back and 5-4-1 and, with no chance to attack. Or do you play how you play, but know that the mistakes you've got to sharpen your teeth in, and you got to be brighter in. You got to make quicker movements, to close space, and all those things are a learning process. And I'd much rather do that and go down with my own vision than by someone who's saying and who's never coached a game in their life or played or done whatever. So I respect the opinion, but it's not. I don't listen to it. I never have.
I mean, that was only a minute clip. Credit obviously to Clyde on Super Scoreboard because that's where I got the clip from. But it's he talks about turning on a tap. You can't just turn it on and off and expect the players who have been programmed. And that's what I think we were saying before we listened, is that I can understand where Rodgers is coming from with a sense because as us as fans, maybe I'm not digging anybody here, but I don't think we've got probably the same tactical knowledge as like a Brendan Rodgers and like somebody who manages a football team really. And I think that's a good point about that. You can't just turn off a tap and expect somebody who will be drilled to play this attacking football and then just tell them, nah, you need to go defensive, you need to go 5 at the back and s- just see what happens really.
I said this to you through the week. Um, but like, I honestly felt I was watching a rerun of Germany 5, Scotland 1. That's what I felt I was watching. And and I know Steve Clark's no in the same class as Brendan Rodgers. He's not. But but same guys would, if we played the way Steve Clark plays, and it they'd have the same criticism. So I do get that when he says you can't change your style completely, but you need to tweak it. Can't, like for example, when you go 3-1 down, you stem the bleeding. You don't just keep playing the same way.
I I think I was I was listening after the game. As you know, when you heavy defeat, you're listening to podcasts and you're listening to what everybody else is saying, and you're kind of forming your own opinion on what kind of everybody else is saying. I think subconsciously we do it. We don't mean to do it, but I think when somebody else tells you something, you're kind of weighing it up. I listened to the Celtic wager now with Ryan and Tony, and Tony made a good point. Tony, I've had on channel, and really good, what he does and stuff like that. And he made the same point as you, is that when it went to 3-1, when it went to 3-1, it's important that you need to see changes at that point. No, I'm not saying at 3-1 when they'll get back into the game, but that could have. I'm not saying it would have stayed 3-1 if we went maybe a 4-2-3-1, or
When
maybe
you're
like
big seven.
it wouldn't have been 7. And that's the thing. That I think that's where my criticism still lie with Rodgers. Now I completely understand. I'm not asking him in Atalanta in 2 weeks to just completely bin everything that he and the team have been working on, because let's not forget about it. Last season we were asking Brendan Rodgers to quicken the play because it was too slow. So I do think that you can have it both ways. Um, but at the same time, I think it's important that there needs
And,
to be tweaks made.
and besides, I don't like a manager that's inflexible in games.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not having a proper answer. That was the criticism under Postecoglou. It was plan A and if plan A didn't work, they plan A better.
I think,
No,
and as well, I think it's going to be an interesting. The next game's going to be interesting because it's away to Atalanta, the Europa League winners. I don't think they've got as much pace as Dortmund. Dortmund have got a lot of pace, and Adeyemi, who
and,
I've
and Italian football by nature is slower.
aye
So, and that's what I meant, Josh, and I wasn't being a smart ass, basically. When I said to you at the start of the group, you said you quite fancied a result in Dortmund because you were under the preconception that Dortmund had started slow.
aye
And, but I always felt that Italian teams kind of give you a wee bit more. They don't come at you, they play a bit more cat and mouse, and that might suit us.
aye. Um, but I think going into the next game, obviously we'll talk about Atalanta closer at the time. But I do think we need to see some change. I think he did have, he did no a go at the players, but he spoke a lot about the mistakes, cutting out those errors. I do, as you said, Alistair, I do think the players need to take some slack. There was a moment as well, in the game when I think Callum McGregor won the ball, and I think a lot of podcasts spoke about this exact moment. And Alistair Johnston and Trusty have just stood there. It's stuff that you need to be switched
That's
on in those.
tough goal, yeah.
You need to be switched on. You can't,
Yeah.
and I would expect better for Alistair Johnston, Trusty,
Well,
because Alistair Johnston's played at this level before, so there's no excuse for me there.
do you know the first time? I may be wrong, Josh. That'll shock you, but I've not watched the game back for obvious reasons. Once was enough. But, but from my memory of the game, the first 50-50 we won, remember the Alistair Johnson tackle?
It was 80
And like
minutes in.
the 82nd minute, I
Aye,
was like, why did it take to the 82nd minute to let them know they're in a game?
aye.
Uh,
Um, but there needs to be changes made for Atalanta. But it's important, and we'll move on to talking about our opponents on Sunday, because I think we've they talked the Dortmund game to absolute death, to be honest. And it's not a game I want to kind of be talking a lot about.
no.
Um, but we'll obviously we need to move on. Ross County away at Dingwall on Sunday, from Signal to depart to Dingwall. Honestly,
I
but
know.
it's
How
important
the
that
other
Celtic.
half was.
Aye, it's important how Celtic go and get the result by any means, and I've got absolutely no doubt. Celtic are obviously still. Brendan Rodgers confirmed that Cameron Carter-Vickers will still be out for the game alongside Alistair Johnson and Greg Taylor, who both picked up injuries in that defeat to Dortmund in the midweek. Alistair, Ross County. I mean, I think Ross County went under the radar a bit. I think they're in seventh place
Yeah,
at the
they've
moment,
kind of steadied the ship.
which is decent for them. Last season they were, and then they were a bit rocky. Don Cowie came in and steadied it, and then had to steady it again this season. You know, they've I think one win, 4 draws. I'm pretty sure they've got another 2 draws and a loss.
They,
I'm pretty
no,
sure.
they've only lost 2 games, one to Aberdeen
Aye,
and
and one
another
Rangers.
Norway to Rangers,
Aye.
yeah.
So they're 2 games you'd expect them to. So they've actually not had a bad season, I think, and they'll be looking at probably Celtic coming off the disappointment of midweek and thinking, right, if we can play our cards right, and we've got these injuries as well, they can be looking and going at right. If we can, go out there and put in a good performance, it's we could maybe get a result. Obviously, with Cameron Carter Vickers out again, that's kind of I think that'll be a thing for a few weeks at least. I don't think we shouldn't be rushing him back, in my opinion.
Well,
Just
like I
let
say,
him. Aye, just
get,
let him.
get them ready for the Bruce game, is
Aye,
what
just
I
let him.
would say.
Just let him get fit so when he comes back. We don't want to rush him back, which we've done in the past. And then within 2 games he's into the game, which
Yeah,
because I think what Ryan Nathan's telling me Ryan Giggs had the same type of injury where he would you need about 3 or 4 weeks out, like
yeah.
just kind of rest and whatever, do whatever. Greg Taylor obviously Greg Taylor's had a pretty good start to the season, but he was absolutely torn apart on Wednesday night. I think Adeyemi was
Oh,
on fire for Dortmund. I
I'd,
just don't.
night, I'd a nightmare about ADM at the in Tuesday night. I'm only grateful he went off injured
Aye,
because because I've never seen a fullback torn apart as much as Greg Taylor was on Tuesday night. That's
aye,
not me having a pop at Greg Taylor, that's just a fact.
I know. It was, it was absolutely torn to shreds. To be honest, he's out injured. So is Alistair Johnson, who I thought was pretty dreadful as well. To be honest, midweek.
Well, who
But
wasn't?
I know that's true.
Who wasn't?
But obviously that's going to have implications in the back four. We'll go into team selection in a minute. But as a match that Celtic should be winning and winning, comfortably, but it could be a difficult day if Celtic don't take care of business.
Well, I would call for an early goal, Josh, especially especially on Sunday, because I would hate to be no 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 no. Then a set piece comes in.
Aye,
And you've seen hundreds of their games, and before you know it, you're chasing your tail.
but
So
aye,
no, I would love an early goal. Love an early
but
goal.
aye.
I'm
Well,
sure we'll win. I'm
you
sure
look at
we'll win.
the games last, like look at Rangers for instance. A game that at the end of last season they should have been winning, and Ross County putting a mighty shock on them. So you just need to be careful. But I feel
Ah, the
Brendan
memory.
Rob have been kind of good memories, but we've been good in the league so far, so I've not got any doubts. Um, Alistair, we're going to team selection. Team selection will be hampered due to obviously.
Well, you know the back four. You know the
Aye.
back four because I'm nobody else.
I'll start off with my team. I think it will be Casper Schmeichel in goal. Um, it's a difficult night for him, and Wednesday night, I heard the story about Schmeichel. His dad went down to see him in the dressing room and says, "You need to be one of these players that pull the younger players off the floor." To be honest, and I think that's 100% correct. But I think he'll obviously remain in between the
I'm no
sticks.
doubt he will.
Aye. Ralston will start at right back. And it'll be a trusty who I thought, yeah, again,
It's hard to judge Trusty
but I
because
think he's starting on a really wrong foot, to be honest. Now I think he's going to do need to do a lot to get some fans back on side, to be honest. Now I know it's hard to judge because you know how late he was brought in and who he played against. completely understand that, but he obviously will start because Cameron Carter Vickers and is out. Liam Scales, I would fully expect to keep his place alongside Alex Rye. I think this has to be his opportunity now. You know, obviously Greg Taylor is unfortunate he's injured, but Alex Rye needs to come in and show out why he's at the club because you know he's looked decent. He looked decent against St
Rocky.
Johnstone. I don't even think there's no point even discussing the Rocky because he's not getting in the squad. To be
No.
honest, if I'm being honest with you, if Stephen Welsh is getting picked over them, then I just don't see a future for
Just
the
no way
Rocky.
till aye, it's a bit like
Um,
that.
the midfield for me, I think we will see obviously Callum McGregor. He'll keep his place. Thought he was pretty poor on Wednesday night. I think he's going to have to maybe give his head a bit of wobble. I do think times Callum, and I really do like Callum McGregor. So I'm not trying to have a go at him, but I do think sometimes he gets a free pass. But he was, I know all of them were poor, but yeah, he was pretty poor on Wednesday night, but he will probably keep his place. And starting against Cameron, I just think he needs to get his head a little wobble and on be going. I think he'll bounce back. Hatate, I think, will come back in. Um, on hindsight, wonderful thing. I think he probably should have played Wednesday night, but I'm not going to sit here and be two-faced because I was champion Bernardo starting. And it'll be
So
alongside probably
was that.
Arne Engels. The front three for me still picks itself, to be honest. Nicholas Kuhn. I think we might see either. I think Kuhn, Ida, and Dyson Maida for me.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be too many changes because you've got to remember, Josh, the game was on Tuesday night, so they basically had as much rest as you're going to have.
Aye.
So
Would your
it's
team be
no.
the same then?
I think, I think he might, I think he might. The back four picks itself. The midfield, I think it might. Engels took a sore one, so I wouldn't be overly shocked if McGowan started.
Maybe I was thinking about Luke McGowan. So I was, but
But if you
I
were
think
to,
it will.
if I
I
was
think it
to
will.
put money on it, I'd probably go Engels, but it
Aye,
wouldn't shock me if by the time the team lines come out and McGowan starting. It
aye,
wouldn't shock me. But the front three, I'm with you. I think he'll play either because of the tight pitch.
aye. It's tight, and you need to. It's quite Ross Kent a decent physical side, quite tall, I think. So but may as well to end off. We'll go on a bit of score prediction. I'm going to go 3-0 Celtic. I still keeping another clean sheet and extending that league record. For me,
I'm going to go 2-0. I think it'll be slightly tighter. I still think we'll win comfortably, but I think I think let's be honest, it's just you said at the top of the podcast, one by any means necessary.
aye, no, definitely. But aye, any means necessary. We need bounced back from that disappointment in Dortmund midweek. But that's going to be it for the Ross County preview. We'll be back Sunday for post match reaction. Hopefully, talking about Celtic keeping their 100% record in the league. Until then, speeches later, and here.